afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master of Propaganda, Hero of Reich, Defender of the Fallen, and also the guy who runs the Propagandacast, your source for strategic and tactical analysis, and of course, historical hoodly-doo. We shall be watching on 1 vs 1 on Angoville. We shall be watching Tant, we'll just call Captain, because that's going to be at least remotely more pronounceable. Fighting for the Panzer Elite, taking on this fight for the 116th Panzer Division, Winhund. Opposing him shall be Davetank, the tank made of Daves, or a tank containing Daves. A quandary for the ages. We are seeing a 3 engineers coming in there for Davetank. Very aggressively focusing right here on this, what you can essentially call a compartment. It's definitely one of the things that can more easily be locked down with a bit of barbed wire. A few tank traps is going to be a lot difficult to get into, although then again you can't really move into this area either, so it's a bit of a, either or sort of situation. Meanwhile, we are seeing 2 Panzer Grenadier squads out here for Captain, and already some of them have been equipped with the Gewehr 43 semi-automatic German rifle, which came into the war about, 1943, the name rather gives that one away, just like the Gewehr 41 came in, 1941, but it was also considerably less useful. The Germans, in fact, rather used the SVT 40 as a sort of basis, and then out of that they actually developed the Gewehr 43 as a semi-automatic rifle. They were never really able to produce a lot of them, though, and they largely tended to be handed up to, in larger quantities, to reconnaissance units, but otherwise to infantry units. It would usually be the second in command of a squad who would be equipped for it for increased firepower. So fun little fact there. But we do see him now rather more severely being aggressive in the right hand side, going to contest Davetank's moves right there. And we do see additional Panzer Grenadier squad coming in here. Captain focusing very heavily on the right hand side, very heavily, lots of infantry, and already here we see Davetank going to make good use of the infantry inside the buildings, going to make it harder for Captain to push forwards, and looks like he's already pushing away, signing he wants to attack somewhere else to kill some other Americans who are much easier targets instead of the ones in the house peeing out for those damn windows. And there we go, small Panzer Grenadier squad left behind here, a wooden cart to harass and engineers and keep Davetank for the time being contained. Now we do see that Davetank is pushing and we do see the Panzer Grenadiers rushing back, but will it be in time or will it be too late for Captain? And there we go, the Panzer Grenadier squad gets pushed off. He rather retreated here in good time rather than waste troops senselessly, mindlessly, gregariously. And pushing onwards there, riflemen slightly pulling back, the Panzer is pushing up here through the hedgerows, ensuring a more or less continuous stream of light cover as they advance. Nicely done there, as light cover is the sort of, it depends again on the light cover. I mean, a fence is not, it's directional, but on the other hand, something like a bush, as long as you're in it, is considerably less directional, and that thus is also more useful for advancing up through. And we do see him getting out into the open again. Captain here seems a bit unsure as how to deal with Davetank. Might be trying to lure him out and catch him in a pincer move. Or no, he seems to be reacting to the engineers harassing his Kettenkrad. His poor kleines Kettenkrad. His Panzer is holding up here nicely in the bushes, catching a rifle squad out in the open in the fields. And soon they will be worm food. There's several of them going down, but we also see a Panzer get pushed off, and then we go the engineers rushed away as well. Looks like Captain is actually going for a very, very heavy infantry approach. 5 squads of Panzer Grenadiers, 15 German soldiers equipped to the teeth with rifles and slightly more faster firing rifles. Pushing forwards there. Tank traps going down. Davetank very insistent on ensuring this point is protected. This is his strong point, his will. This is where he'll be focusing, fighting, conducting his battle against the vile Germans. We also see a Logistik company going up here for Captain. Oh, such a silly name. Curious to know what he meant with it, but there you go. Kettenkrad sneaking about. West now being secured by Panzer Grenadiers instead of the Kettenkrad, and going straight for the fuel pump. We also see a mine here spotted. Oh dear. Yes, he will immediately deal with it before returning back to the Americans from behind his mighty fortress of wooden cart, Dom. You know, Heinz, I don't think a wooden cart is the best place to hide behind. Yeah, but do you see anything else? 9. And do we have the ability to lay down sandbags? 9. Then shut up and hide behind the wooden cart.
We're standing by.
Wooden cart begins falling apart. Rifle engineers advancing. Looks like Davetank is really preparing a large defense at the same time, though the Panzers are holding out alright. And looks like we are seeing increase. Nope. I might have thought that. No, instead we are seeing a direct move for the Panzer command. The Panzers are just in such a terrible condition they will immediately get pushed off. And there we go. Davetank's assault worked out quite nicely. The wooden cart fortress ultimately failed in its endeavours. It was meant for carting around things, not protecting German soldiers of the Third Reich. And we are seeing a Luftwaffe doctrine choice immediately trying to hide the Kenkrad. He needs to rather, you know, with an engine damage, try to get it sort of out of the obvious path, but that's a bit difficult since the Reifen currently can move faster than it can. And it's like, oh, it's shite. I'm at Bush. Yeah, 9. Not really working right there, and we do see Rudolf right there, sort of. Ah, shite. I should have disguised this as a cart. Panzer sneaking out there, coming under fire from the riflemen. Already one Panzer Grenadier swiftly goes down. And there we go, Davetank has now nicely advanced using the building again to create a strong point, which is going to be very difficult for Captain to actually deal with. Flamethrower is going to burn them out of there, that's good. Well, not for the Germans inside there, of course, that is pretty bad. Armoured car on the way, Panzer gun is ready. We could see another assault going in there from the Panzer gunners. We're going to see Davetank Hawk out in the open, and that could definitely prove very, very lethal. And we're seeing more and more Gewehr 43s being equipped for the German infantry. We already see there one Rifle squad simply suffering a great deal of losses and are quickly rushed away as the Panzers move across in force. Might want to spread out a bit there, some here, you know, in case of mines, or, you know, just, you know, to get better spread and coverage. But there we go, first armoured car out for Captain. Rifleman being slightly pushed away. And a nice harassment going on here from Davetank, noticing that likely all of his opponent's forces will be heading over to the right-hand side. He immediately sneaks one gentleman to go for here, but of course at the same time we do see now that Captain, in fact he's already pushing it into overdrive, has the immediate and a good tool for dealing with the harassment. That is the armoured car, you know, swiftly moving, heavily armoured to deal with a single squad of infantry on his own. And there we go, quickly tearing through one poor American, ending his life as he ends his intestines and turns them into viscous goo. And there we already go down to 3 men. Armor car pushing me, and he's a bit worried, of course. He might worry that Davetank. Oh, Davetank could lose a rifle squad. Oh, so close to actually rendering him neutral, but at the same time he might have risked losing the entire squad. And will Captain pursue? Will he try to get this last man running, covered in the bits of his comrades? Apparently not. Motor pool going up for Monsignor Davetank. Once that being secured, and we also see immediately another building, so getting already an anti-tank half-tank. Of course, he's seen no upgrades for Davetank's infantry, no Browning automatics, no grenades or sticky bombs, so he knows he's likely going to be hit by an armoured car, so he gets the best counter for that, which is an anti-tank half-track. In that sense, I mean, that's pretty regular for this sort of match between the Panzer Fleet versus the Americans. Again, you know, you rather quickly get an anti-tank half-track in case of armoured cars. And of course, then the Americans get tank destroyers, in which case the anti-tank half-track is a bit shite. My 37mm is not built for that. And we see Captain again focusing very heavily on the right-hand side, stringing them out, and he might want to consider defensive operations. Some of his Panzer Grenadiers are looking a bit rough.
Defensive operations have been upgraded.
And we'll be needing a lot of band-aids to keep together. And we see actually a half-track out for dating. That's quite interesting. Of course, half-tracks in Companies 1 being quite expensive. Well, relatively quite expensive. Of course, in Companies 2 they are much, much cheaper, which is also why there's, you know, more useful and all the other fun things. Riflemen and such pushing in, and we do see a swift retreat right there from the Panzer Grenadiers, suffering a few unfortunate losses, which is never good. And there we go, he's actually upgraded to the anti-aircraft variant.
capable of larger squads.
450 calibers and a quart mount. That's definitely going to be bad news for any German infantry, or for that matter the armoured car, as the rounds already threaten to tear apart its hull like cardboard. And we are in fact now seeing increased squad size. We also see the defence operations. In that sense, CPtant is all of a sudden going to be increasing his squad's numbers overall considerably, going from 15 man to 20. And largely already equipped with mostly as Gewehr 43s. I would like to see a single assault rifles, you know, for increased close combat fun. In the meanwhile, not much else going on. Davetank might want to consider some sandbags, barbed wire, a few tank traps, all the fun stuff. Order mines, since, well, Captain has absolutely no minesweepers this time around, no Kettenkrauts, no anything, so mines would be now much more effective than previously. And of course we're seeing an anti-tank, and he knows now that of course there's going to be an anti-tank half-track, and perhaps the half-track with its AA gun was a bit of a play against that. Armored car immediately rolling up and getting off a few good shots on the American side of the house. In particular, that wide open hole there. And there we go, full assault swarming across open ground, taking up cover behind the trees. Anti-aircraft half-track just firing away, peppering them with bullets, but so far not doing too much due to the heavy cover offered by the Kettenkraut. Yeah, even in death, it still serves. Wrong game, hang on. And airborne doctrines, a Luftwaffe versus airborne, one of the more classic showdowns right there in Panzer versus American, although we do see a greater number of, you know, tank destroyer doctrine users now. Some players have seen the light in that sense and are spreading a bit more out from the Luftwaffe. No longer just disciples of Hermann Göring and his increasingly ground-borne airborne forces. Usually Panzers moving up here. There'll be incendiary grenades to burn them out of their hidey holes. No, apparently not. Armored car once more getting a bit pushed away. And there we go. Anti-tank half-tank moving up, immobilizing and blowing off the front wheel. No, Joe, I told you to fasten it properly. Lots of engineers immediately getting on the job. We do see an attempt to actually clear up the engineers, but it's simply not fast enough. They simply... One would have thought they had attached a new wheel, but apparently they just... I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. It must be all of that American magic. If we believe it works, it will work. Just like the orcs.
This is the boys are counting on us. The men are formed up, sir.
Oh, company heroes. But there we go, moving up, opening up with the Panzers right there, firing away a full nice volley, doing a bit of damage rather than pulling up in support. Strafing run already prepared. The light cover does make it a bit harder for the anti-tank half-tank to actually get the crap bastards. And there we go, actually getting Helmut, tearing him to bits. And once more the anti-tank half-tank. Oh! Hang on. Where did that front wheel come from? Oh well. The wonders of World War II. Of course, the silliness of the game. But yeah. Oh well, never mind. Let's try and keep this a bit more serious. Half-tank, they're pushing forwards again. Now it's already, again, once more short off its boat. So now the anti-tank half-tank actually has a chance to really do some damage, since there's nothing now that can really stop it. And we do see a damaged engine on the armored car. And the half-tank's moving in. It's going to tear it apart like a paper aircraft. And there we go. Oh no! There's still a bit to go. There's still a bit to go. Anti-aircraft half-tank, and there we go. Out of control, blowing up. Nicely done there, and we do see it pushing forwards. Engineer squad. Oh no, that was a rifleman squad. Actually went down. Strafing run going in instead, pinning down the entire force, causing a few nasty casualties there. Anti-tank half-tank barely repaired, being pushed forwards, and a Luftwaffe squad added in. CPtant reinforcing his already considerable Panzer Grenadier force with a few troops from the nearby 17th Luftwaffe Division having finally arrived at the front line, probably to relieve the 116th Panzer Division. Rifle pulling up, rifle pulling away. And 2 offensive veterans who 1 Panzer Grenadier escort able to lay down a murderous and quite otherwise unfriendly hailstorm upon Davetank's infantry. Did he even say what the Americans were? Well, 1st Infantry. Done. And once more, a destroyed engine on the half-track, but this time there's no engineers to save it. No engineers, the engine is on fire. The engine is on fire, oh dear. Good for barbecue and anti-tank grenades. CPtant really taking no chances this time around. He wants that half-track dead, and there we go. And then another strafing run just moves in, pinning the Luftwaffe, suppressing the Panzer Grenadiers, and allowing Davetank to heroically surge forward, shouting "Ura!" or likely not. Though one could imagine Davetank did so on the inside. Panzer is doing what they can to hold back this suddenly socialist force of Americans pushing forwards like a great human wave. Rifleman suffering a bit though, just a bit. Losses inflicted. And Davetank, though, in the end was forced away with more rifleman casualties, men spread out like, well, dead men on the ground. We do see a quick attempt to lay down a minefield, but we do see the Panzers might want to have a word with the engineers about that. And then the engineers say, bugger off, we've got flamethrowers, you don't. At which point the discussion abruptly ended. And we do now in fact see that CPtant is actually being pushed slightly back. His Luftwaffe troops doing what they can to keep things upable. Yes, that is good work, I should know. I was aircraft maintenance person, which means I know everything about half-tracks. Or not.
Fall in, riflemen.
We're a hell of a long way from home.
Point capture. Taking fire.
And there we go, rifleman quickly pushed away, a few losses inflicted. And it's not like, you know, a lot of the German vehicles actually used, for example, aircraft engines, although the Panther actually did, so I suppose that could explain why they'd be good at repairing that, but that would really be about it. Let's not talk ill of the Luftwaffe technical personnel, which were probably quite skilled, which is also why some consider a bit of a waste that was suddenly pushed into the Luftwaffe field divisions to fight at the front line, in particular considering the little training they usually got. There we go, looking very dashing at the front line. Look, Heinz, we're taking a point! And now getting pushed back by the riflemen. But not making nice progress on the left side now. Luftwaffe forces doing what they can, not quite succeeding. Wilhelm left behind. He looks a bit upset about that.
Losing a strategic sector.
Davetank now going for a tank depot, getting himself a tank destroyer to destroy those damn crap tanks, of which we're seeing pretty much none at the current moment. And sadly also looks like he's equipped all of his Panzer gunners with Gewehr 43s. I really would have liked to see at least one Sturmgewehr upgrade. Just like if you get a lot of Volksgun, at least one upgrade with an MP40 tends to be a good little thing. But there we go, pushing forwards. Quickly getting one engineer down on the ground. Like a corpse. Slowing down one. Other engineer squad absolutely mauled. And looks like this could be a nice assault going in from there. Davetank having a bit of trouble holding it all back. Although he is able to catch some of the Panzers out in the open and quickly, in fact, kill some. And in fact, we see it actually looks like CPtant loses his cool. And actually, I think might have been a bit too worried there and actually pulled away too early. He could have done more damage to Davetank and possibly even pushed him back, but no. CPtant in this case was not quite cool-headed. And returning back to him, with again his awful large amount of infantry. Going to support the panzers inside the houses with a bit more troops. Also note here, what Davetank is doing is actually clearing a line of fire, so he can actually keep his anti-tank in a much safer distance and ensure that the anti-tankers can't hide, or tanks can hide behind anything, you know. Quite common tactic, you know, blowing up obstacles for your defenders. Could be anything. Even an orphanage. Yes, we need to clear it because otherwise the Knouts will sneak up. But it's an orphanage. This is war. And rather, what would you rather have? Orphans live or you dead? Well, when you put it like that, Sarge, blow it up. Oh, look. The Germans did it for us. Never mind then. Which means they're expecting us to attack. Ah, crap. Yeah. Not really particularly heroic thinking, but there you go. Which also rather was slightly ironic for what the Germans then actually did, because when they were making the defenses, there was no unified control with it, so you'd have one group build defenses straight in front of them and some bunkers meant for actually defending, or for that matter, just the living quarters. So it's like a bit of fun there. Oh! Strafing run! Oh dear, that just... Oh, that was pretty much just like a huge lawnmower from above. And also a good lesson again, when you know your opponent's gone airball, don't blob up, you silly bugger. Which apparently is not something Captain has been putting too much thought in. Instead, we just saw a good deal of otherwise good German troops. Well, they're now writhing in the grass, and we do see a Hellcat moving up there. Armada 3 actually out for Captain, immobilizing, and there we go. Oh, Hellcat quickly went down, and quickly went down on further to hell. Troops reinforcing up here. Jolly good job, jolly good job. Another 3 less seen. Also a little less flexible, so it does tend to get a little less well used. And of course the Germans were quick to replace it when they could with the Jagdpanzer and later on the Hetzer, which could also a bit better deal with infantry, which was largely why they dropped the Marder. Well, that and the fact that it was pretty lightly armoured and open-topped, rather they would use the chassis for something else, which they also already did at this stage, or previous stages, but used it as a self-propelled artillery piece known as the Grille for more close infantry support. They'd usually have about 2 to 3 per battalion, I think, in support of their advances for the Panzer Grenadiers. Had a well, about the same gun as the Hummel, except it had a much shorter range.
We are losing a sector.
We do see a flak 88 going down right there for Captain, ready to really lay down some thick murderous fire upon any American advancing army. We also see again Captain has left the entire left side rather unguarded, which means again he has to quickly attack, and again Davetank, you know, could pull off some nice tricks. Another strafing run again. He might want to consider actually getting a Wirbelwind or laying down some more anti-aircraft guns, you know, also some flak feelings here and there, you know, to make it harder for Davetank to move. And we also see some sandbags going up. You could also, in fact, right about here, I think would be a good spot for the flak feeling. Would be tricky sneak up on, would also be able to defend this and just really tear down a lot of infantry. Also noting a weapon support center up for Davetank. He is, in fact, getting snipers to really, you know, punish all of the infantry that, well, Captain has, and again he's got so much, although he does have lost 1 squad battalion, he's still got a ton of it, so in that sense a couple of snipers will likely do the deed quite successfully. And we immediately see, you know, Davetank just preparing for the assault, laying down mines upon mines upon mines. That is good. Panzer Grenadiers pushing forward. Riflemen suffering some swift and nasty losses. And there we go, the sniper reels himself. Getting some Panzer Grenadier. Right for the jugular. More troops pressing forwards to meet this contestment from the German army. And quickly getting it rushed off. Nicely done there. And we also see, in fact, he's laying down barbed wire, so the aircraft gun can't be so quite easily flanked. Although, of course, it can still be rushed from the front, and of course, a flak feeling might, in that sense, serve as a bit of extra to hold back the infantry from attacking it. And of course, I mean, the fun thing is, in particular for the army aircraft, anti-aircraft units, and the ones attached to divisions, they usually end up being used more against ground targets than against air units. And the ones that primarily ended up actually just doing most of the anti-aircraft work was the Luftwaffe flak regiments, and then the army ones would usually be focused on shooting down ground troops, including flak feelings and smaller flak anti-aircraft guns, which would also work quite excellently against the lighter armoured vehicles like, say, a Greyhound. But there we go, we do see the Wirbelwind flak panzer out now, rolling forwards with speed and daring. And again here, nice work from Davetank. He's constantly shifting about, trying to, to catch Mr. Captain where he's, less strong and do some nasty damage there. So that is quite nice work there. Flaggate hit reveals his presence and misses. Brilliant job, Heinz. At the same time, of course, Davetank working rather hard to get this back. We do see the Wirbelwind now being shifted over towards the right side. And we also see a kampfgruppe accompanying out for Captain. And there we go, 2 snipers quickly dropping half the Panzer Grenadier squad right there in a matter of moments. But there we go, Captain so far alongside the 116 Panzer Division holding on to most of the victory points. Wirbelwind moving in a bit aggressively, should not be used like that. And the Luftwaffe troops trying to move up to support, but quickly gets dropped as well. And the rest quickly leg it. And they're going to tank and opening up on the anti-aircraft half gun. I messed everything up because the anti-tank half tank showed up. Good job, Friedhelm. Anyways, Wirbelwind moving away, flak panzer pulling away, but we also see the riflemen pulling away since they're rather fighting themselves, getting gutted out in the open. The crewmen inside the flak panzer proving too clever for them. Or for that matter, just better well armed. Another anti-tank and Davetank seems to, for at least the time, being shifted away from any armour, relying now on anti-tank guns. Also fun to note, the fact is that all players on both sides currently have every single building they need. Or can build for that matter. Which is actually quite fun. And there we go again, the snipers just proved themselves to be a huge problem for Captain. Also see an anti-tank gun ready to cover them to ensure they don't get rushed by vehicles, since that's more likely to happen with the Panzer Elite, an armoured car or something similar. So nothing deeply out of the unusual there. Kettenkrad sneaking up, ready to spot the snipers just in case. And he's going to try and probably use focused fire from the anti-tank half tank and get them that way. Davetank must be aware something's a bit off, since, his snipers are uncloaked. Now we're going to tank after moving up. And there we go, focused fire gets one. Gets a bit of veterancy, but likely the anti-tank gun, yes, gets the anti-tank half track. It did get the sniper. And butterfly bombs are now ready for Captain to slow down the advance of the Americans. Though where it first is shot might be, I don't know. Oh, over here by the flak, to ensure it doesn't get rushed. The tank up here. Well, we do see a nicely positioned 30 caliber in the rubble, actually ensuring he can't make a straight rush for the victory point. Nicely done there by Davetank. Advancing up here, coming under fire from the Panzer Grenadiers. Quite. Davetank now going for a slightly more spread approach, although we do see some minor defenses here, and we do see the Wirbelwind pushing up, which could... Well, it's not really going to dig out the Americans. He might want to just deal with the MG, but we're all seeing an anti-tank being rushed up, and that's going to pretty much quickly lock down that Wirbelwind. It should really have more support. Not entirely sure again why he keeps insisting it's a tank when it's not. And another strafing run, and for that matter, why didn't he support his infantry force again with it? I mean, he must know now that Davetank really loves calling strafing runs and does so successfully. It's really a bit problematic, to be honest. But we do see the snipers a bit open, a bit weak. So getting cut down, he's already down to half health. Panzers continue up. And we're seeing overdrive. He's charging in right past everything. Past the riflemen, past the engineers. He's on a mission of death. Can he get the sniper? We also see some riflemen hanging about here. They could actually finish off. No, no. Will he get the sniper? Yes, he got him. But the rifleman got the armoured car. So a bit of an exchange here. Now we actually see the vehicle here needs to get away. Again, careful. Captain is trying to do too much. He's spreading out his forces too thinly in a way that is actually quite counterproductive. In particular, using the Wirbelwind as a tank on its own without any support at all. In fact, a flak panzer should always be considered a support tank. That is, it supports other units, preferably infantry. It should not be rushing in. There we go, get another strafing run. Had he only kept the Wirbelwind near, there might have been a chance, you know, of actually stopping the damn bastards from strafing it. So it's definitely a rather repeated mistake from Captain, and I'm not one I'm particularly fond of, but there you go, and it's actually time for the mid-game analysis counter situation. Davetank is now counter-attacking hard on every front, and he's actually causing Captain some considerable casualties. He's constantly strafing infantry, killing out of those. He's also doing some damage over here. I mean, in that sense, Captain has now in fact spread himself out too thinly, trying to hold everything, which is probably what Davetank was slightly aiming for. And now Davetank is making more concerted counterattacks where he wants gaining local superiority and really now just devastating Captain, and that's really causing some considerable problems for our German friend. And what he needs to do, of course, is consolidate, get some support things up, you know, get another Wirbelwind, get a mortar half-track up at the very least, and then needs to launch a more successful, more coordinated counterattack. For example, here, have one force go down here, have one lead up here, keeping everything occupied, and then hit the main force from the rear. That, for example, would be one way. He needs, you know, to conduct something a bit more, well, slightly more finesse instead of, you know, just those raw movements he's constantly making, which again is not really productive. He also needs to again expand his force due to that, otherwise Davetank will just keep strafing him and sniping him. And again, that's just going to absolutely drain Captain and the 160th Panzer Division of manpower quicker than you can say manpower. Because that's really something he needs to quickly, you know, change his force composition to something slightly more nuanced. Davetank, on the other hand, just needs to basically keep up what he's doing, perhaps support with some armor so he can, you know, catch Captain off guards a bit there as well, because likely, I mean, if Captain rather gets his act together, then he will get some armor. In that case, he will likely need something a bit more than anti-tank guns to hold it all back. But overall, you know, keep at it, perhaps get some more upgrades for the riflemen, some BARs, and perhaps some more riflemen. So let us return to the fight, to the action, and of course that Wirbelwind is pretty much scrap. And there we go. A smouldering wreck. A tragic fate for the flak panzer. There we go, another full-on assault going in here from Captain. Although now, oh, he's getting supply drops in, so he immediately has the munitions for another strafing run. Wunderbar. Not entirely sure if he's actually on intent creating another path, or if it's accidental, because his flak can't hit the rifleman for anything in the world. Luftwaffe troops, apparently the first on the scene to deal with the Americans and try and hold them back. And there we go, some Panzers moving up to finally support. Hold back Davetank's impending push. Moving in here as well. Marder Flea moved in. I'm not entirely sure why Captain is doing it like that, but it looks like once more that, in fact, Davetank has moved away his anti-tank gun. I'm really curious about that. Is he trying to repair it, or what is he exactly intending right there? But of course, now Mr. Captain can actually move a force up there and then hit the MG in the flank, which would definitely work out a bit better. Since currently, if we pretty much gauge it, I mean, again, going in from here, that is there would actually allow him to flank it. And it's quite interesting, he keeps, acting like it's not there. Come on, Captain, get yourself into the fight a bit more sensibly. And that Flag 88 is not really doing much in the sector, ensuring that Davetank likely won't be getting any armor anytime soon. But it's not actually killing anything. There we go. Fallschirmjäger appearing, and Fallschirmjäger running away after having getting shot. Less impressive. And now we actually see that Davetank is actually getting a Sherman out, a tank. And he of course can operate out here on the left flank where the Flag 88 can't reach. And in fact where Davetank is currently dominating. In fact, he's holding now most of the victory points and most of all the good resources. .30 caliber now changing positions inside the house. Flag 88 trying to bombard the house, possibly a bit more successfully. And there we go, blasting away. And again, his entire force encountering a strafing run and quickly getting stopped. And then of course the .30 caliber joins into the chorus, and the snipers just proceeds to have it as a shooting gallery. Also the Ken crowd is not really being very, covert right there, moving about all the rubble. Yeah, I'm being really secret there. Yeah, ha. Oh. But we do see some panzers moving forwards. We actually see the snipers retreating. We see butterfly bombs going down to actually ensure that Davetank can't move in. But at the same time, Davetank is rather, of course, going to be much more... Oh, he got the MG! Butterfly bombs, I think, sorted that one out. That was impressive. But of course, at the same time, what I was trying to say before the entire MG crew suffered an explosive death was that, of course, Davetank could get some mines, but then, of course, just clear up the entire thing. And now we do see the fights getting a bit more desperate. Incendiary grenade going off as well, burning the Americans as they're getting shot. More than one way to die, and another strafing run quickly pinning snipers again, adding in the death and destruction. Anti-tank and quickly following up. And again, we're just shown that Captain lacks something extra. Again, a mortar might help him. The mortar half-track, of course. Die Granatenwerferwagen. Luftwaffe troops sneaking up. Minesweepers, and again the Kettenkrad acting as a reconnaissance unit. And of course, of the units he can sort of, send forwards into more exposed position. Of course, the Luftwaffe troops are probably the cheaper ones to do it so with. A bit cynical, but it works, I suppose. And he gets the victory point. Someone screaming a bit about Luftwaffe. Couldn't catch if there was also something about the Hammond Goering though, which would have been an interesting nod from Relic. Flak keeps blasting. And Airborne keeps dropping down. In fact, now he's actually getting some airborne infantry. Interesting. Very interesting. Tougher infantry than the Riflemen in many regards. And again, the snipers proved to be the bane of Captain and his infantry, including his now freshly equipped Fallschirmjägers with the FG-42, the Fallschirmgewehr. A few more rounds fly through the air and continue to just spectacularly miss. I mean, well, it's killed 3 riflemen, but statistically, it really should have killed more. I mean, usually, they'd have this stage, kill at least 7 or 8. This one's only killed 3. That's something. Just having had so long firing and just repeatedly failing to hit the goddamn targets. But there we go, 40 meters firing away. Heavy fire again, and then quickly getting sniped. Panzer's pushing up, Ken crowd moving in. Needs to be careful. At the same time, making a move here with the Luftwaffe troops coming under fire from the Sherman. The Sherman having no intent on letting the Luftwaffe troops securing the victory point over there. And again, the assault was just absolutely stalled because, again, CPtant is sending infantry largely unsupported. And the Flak 88, while actually quite successful overall in not just, you know, shooting down aircraft and tanks, but also just basically functioning as artillery. And coming here is, you know, is just, well, it's good at shooting down tanks, but that's about it. It's a bit limited otherwise, and they're shooting aircraft, but not really much in a support role. There we go, airborne rushing forward, straight into everything. Quickly catching one Panzer Grenadier with the recoilless rifle shot. And of course, quite intense. There we go, again, strafing one, actually setting off the butterfly bombs. Flak firing and not quite hitting anything. But the supporting infantry is pinned. It looks like we do see the Sherman goes down, but at the same time he loses both an anti-tank, half-tank, and a Marder. That actually cost him more than he killed. Airborne moving in, the Luftwaffe troops of Jägers protecting, going down. Airborne, I mean, taking a few losses, but ultimately they are successful. We are seeing more German troops bringing forward for CPtant and the 116th Panzer Division, but will it be enough? And there we go, mortar half-track up. Endlich. Oh dear. Oh dear, the airborne just casually spotted the Kettenkrad on its retreat, and an anti-tank gunshot pretty much sent that one careening out of control and into a crater. I mean, Davetank is suffering losses, but I do think CPtant has suffered slightly heavier ones. Relying quite heavily on his loot butterfly bombs, which is definitely not a bad idea. Looks like an incendiary round was sent off. Yes, indeed. Immediately killing one from the shock of, oh my goodness, there's fire! I'm not supposed to be on fire. And then the rest slightly cooking, but they do seem to get away.
Kampfgruppe company has reported in and is ready to be deployed.
And the Kampfgruppe company upgrade could be, he might be going for the Panthers. He's pretty much got everything else upgraded, I think. Davetank reinforcing the western positions with additional mines, machine gun emplacement, and another Sherman. So again, Davetank strategy largely seems to push aggressively on the right hand side, keep a smaller force on the left to deal with whatever CPtant might push in, because again it also seems like CPtant is pushing this major force on the right hand side. In that sense, he's got slightly caught up, and it's now in a bit of a tunnel vision. He can't really see any other ways, which is rather making it easier for Davetank to basically decide what to do. And there we go, the Panzer gun is immediately finding themselves under fire from the 30 caliber machine gun. Bit quiet. Folgemega hiding. Rifleman squad hold up there in the building, and again we do see Davetank pushing forwards again. More airborne, more riflemen, more everything. And of course the snipers. Quickly ending the life of much of CPtant's infantry. Mortar half-track nowhere near the front, and it has been repaired. That's always something. Looks like he's bombarding the house. The Flak's bombarding the house. The riflemen are quick to vacate the premises as things get a bit too explodey. More butterfly bombs going on. We also see engineers with minesweepers, of course. Don't drop the butterfly bombs right in front of the enemy. That's pretty much just telling him to shoot it wild before it cloaks up. And there you go, Folgemega just tearing through the engineers with the minesweepers might be killing them. And a bombing run straight on the mortar half-tank. Anti-tank gun finishes it off. And there we go, Flak goes down as well. This is a total collapse of the right wing for CPtant and the 116th Panzer Division. They've just suffered catastrophic losses. That was absolutely devastating. Mortar half-track and the Flak And of course, there's still the butterfly bombs to slow down and buy himself some more time. That's not going to last forever. In particular, not considering how much Davetank thinks of his infantry, which is pretty much forwards, comrades. But we're Americans, not any longer. Oh, retreating straight into a mine. Our friend here from the Panzer Division is getting absolutely mauled at the moment. Mauled. Things just turned incredibly south for him. He just lost a lot of units, a lot of precious troops and equipment. Which is going to be very hard to come back from. Oh, hitting a mine right there again. More mines as they try to get out of the minefield. There's mines everywhere. So once more things quieten down. As CPtant tries to figure out how they're able to get out of this, and it likely rhymes with Panther. As he's in fact saving up the 1,000 manpower now. This also means he's definitely going to be focusing everything on a very rapid defense of the victory point right here, as that gives him some time to counter-attack in. And of course, Davetank has absolutely no intention of giving him the time for that counter-attack. He's just going to push forward. He's going to keep up the pressure. And we see the Fortune going in. They might be able to catch the snipers. There's nothing now actually protecting them. And there we go. Gets one. Fortune gets another. But they continue on. Their FG-42s having promises of swift snipery death. But no, the snipers escape. The anti-tank are still there. Can the Fortune clear that out? Will they get killed? Luftwaffe troops pushed away. And now we see the Fortune actually pulling away as the last Panzer squad holding up here. Tears through the rifle and actually equipped with BARs and the airborne, who are constantly reinforcing. Slightly hoping to lure them into the butterfly bombs. Fortune moving in from the rear. And there we go. Rifleman squad dead. And a grenade. Fortune retreat down to one man. Friedrich legs it very, very swiftly. And there we go. The Panther battle group arrives. The 116th Panzer Division has finally been able to call in some of its Panthers to support its troops. Panzer Grenadiers once more getting sniped down to one man. The Panthers finally arrive at the front. And can they bring a deliverance for CPtant? Or will they just, well, prolong the inevitable? But his infantry is quite depleted and will not be able to support an advance right away. So he's going to be buying Davetank that way some time. Probably not quite what he intended though. Looks like the Panthers are shifting away to another scenario, another area.
We are losing ground.
It looks like Davetank is just reinforcing casualties with more airborne. Not bothering with the rifle anymore. Engineers trying to harass are quickly running into more than they had initially imagined they would. Swift counterattack being initiated by the Luftwaffe troops. Will the Panthers be able to support them in time? Fortune following up. Going to advancing straight into Dave's forces, including again those snipers, including the veterans. Free sniper. That's definitely bad news. And definitely one part where I'm looking forward to coming to again, where snipers will be a lot less powerful. Simply because they can't walk around invisible wherever they bloody well want. There we go, Panthers laying down some nasty fire, getting a few airborne, but there's just so much infantry. Panzer is fortunately getting the counter support, but of course there's going to be the snipers clearing out the supporting infantry. More forces keep popping in as the Panthers try to pop them down. And now the Panthers are actually getting exposed to recall his rifle fire. That's definitely bad news. And there we go. Capitan has now been pushed away from his final victory point.
The enemy advances.
And Davetank is already preparing some defenses by the looks of it, or at least a defensive line of some sort.
Men are barely needed. Don't fuck up.
And again, no time for rest. Need to push forward, but again he seems to be forgetting about the strafing run. Airborne taking up position in the building, raining down death upon the Panther. Troops are moving up. We're going to incendiary grenades, spurning them out of the building, pushing up. Snipers could try their best to stop the Germans from advancing. Falls airborne inside the house, dying slowly to fire, and shots now down to 3 men. End of the Falls continuing. They're going to try and get the snipers. Already one sniper's retreating, the other sniper's retreat as well. Anti-tank and quick level one as well. Going very quickly now. Looks like this is actually an assault that is working out for Capitan. There we go. Airborne squad pushed away. There's only one left at the front line. Omega seems to have also retreated. No, they're continuing onwards and now retreating. We also see a mine very quickly down there. Looks like they're dodging it. A successful assault has been pulled off right here, actually doing a lot of damage to Davetank, but will he be able to then actually follow up and hold? And there we go, mine goes off, killing one poor Luftwaffe trooper, wounding the rest quite considerably. Anti-tank are going to get wrecked. He's taking no chances. The other Panther quickly rolling up, and he needs more troops at the front line. And there we go, anti-tank unwrecked. 68 victory points left for Capitan and the 116th Panzer Division. Davetank once more mustering for another assault. Pushing the Panthers to their limits. And they're just rolling ahead. Probably trying to catch any snipers. Well, this is... That did look a bit suspicious, but oh well. Probably did follow them with the bit there. We can actually follow a unit that's actually fired on you. Oh well. Now things are slightly changing up again. The Panthers ultimately do not seem to have bought him any kind of victory. On the other hand, snipers probably did that for Davetank. Butterfly bombs going down. Luftwaffe troops getting absolutely murdered. Sherman following up now. Everything being pushed in, which actually leaves the left side now very open to armored assault. And again, minesweepers. Oh, minesweeper troops quickly cleared out. Panther quickly in the threat zone of getting knocked out by one good shot from an anti-tank gun. Whoops, too low. Troops advancing, troops dying. Speeding this up slightly, ever so slightly.
We are winning this battle. Point out there.
There we go. Looks like to be the final standoff. More Luftwaffe troops being pushed in. Panther close to going down. Pushing up. Their strafing run stops the right hand assault, killing the troops there. Luftwaffe troops getting sniped, going in for the snipes again. They're both veterans of free. They can move faster than the damn Luftwaffe troops can. And there we go. Unit went down to Sherman on retreat. Gets one Luftwaffe trooper. The rest are moving in. Will they get the snipers? Looks like he might be able to. Airborne team up in the house again. And this, he looks like no, he didn't get any of the snipers. And well, that was it. Game over. A loss to Capitan and the 160th Panzer Division. A good victory for Davetank. partly one through the snipers, of course, also partly from him identifying the weaknesses of CPtant's play, which again, very much heavy infantry. So again, he went for worked against that, including heavy machine guns, including the half-track, including the snipers. And then again, he also tried to spread them out, and then he, more slowly took out care of things, and again, also the strafing runs. And again, that's probably where CPtant's play rather falters again. He made himself too easy to just be countered with a few things, and he did nothing to really, help against it. That way, he also wasted some units. Again, he should have kept the Wilburys close to his infantry. But that didn't happen, and, those things just, kept snowballing as he just kept throwing away more and more units like that, and that was probably the biggest problem with CPtant. He just stuck to one plan and he never modified it, never changed, and then he also didn't quite seem to fully understand how some of his units worked. I mean, it was aggressive infantry start, but again, it lacked depth, and thus Davetank was able to just counter it, sort it out, and deal with it. And again, he also rather identified the main combat zone, which would not be over here, but he also ensured to defend it with a few things. And then he always had his main push over here, which again slowly but surely drained CPtant. So, good play there by Davetank. Some good things from CPtant, but again, ultimately, he could have done a lot better. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, why not subscribe? Tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own? This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.